Imagine getting paid $5,000 every single month, even if you never clock into a job again. That's what dividend investing can do when you set it up right. And today, I'll break down exactly how to build a dividend stock portfolio that pays you like that. Before we dive in, if you've never invested before, the stock market can sound pretty scary. Some people make money, some people lose money, but in reality, it's just a place where you can buy tiny pieces of big companies. Those pieces are called stocks or shares. Some companies share a portion of their profits with people who own their stock every few months. That's called a dividend. It's basically a thank you payment for believing in their business. The strategy behind dividend investing is all about creating a source of steady, long-term income. You focus on buying strong, stable companies that regularly share dividends. And instead of relying on trying to time the market of when to buy or when to sell, the goal is just to build a stock portfolio that pays you consistently and grows on its own as those dividends are reinvested. That's where it gets powerful. When you reinvest your dividends, meaning instead of taking your dividends as cash and spending it all at the grocery store, you can set your dividend income to automatically buy more shares. Those new shares will then start earning their own dividends, which buy even more shares, and the cycle keeps repeating. That's called compounding, and it's how investors turn a few dollars a week into serious long-term passive income. Now let's cover a couple of quick terms you'll hear a lot in the investing world. The S&P 500 is a list of the 500 largest companies in the United States. Think Apple, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and it's often used as a safe stock to invest into the US stock market. When you buy stocks of the S&P 500 index fund, you're buying small pieces of all 500 companies at once. The term dividend yield tells you how much income a stock pays you compared to how much it costs. For example, if a stock costs about $100 and pays $4 per year in dividends, that's about a 4% dividend yield. With that in mind, here's a quick reality check. The average dividend yield of the S&P 500 right now is only around 1.2%. That means if you invested $10,000 into the index, you'd only get around $121 a year in dividend income. So if you want real life-changing money coming in every month, you have to go beyond the basic index and build a smarter mix of stocks. Let's start simple. Step 1, pick the right kinds of dividend stocks. Here's the mix I like. First, there's blue chip dividend stocks. These are shares of big, well-established companies that have been around for decades, known for being financially strong and dependable. Think of brands everyone knows and trusts like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson. They may not have the highest returns, but they're very stable because they usually keep paying dividends even when the economy slows down. Next are the dividend growers like Home Depot and PepsiCo, which are companies that have increased their dividends for 25 years or more. Then there's high yield dividend stocks like Realty Income and Verizon. These companies usually pay higher dividends, sometimes 5%, 6%, or even more because they operate in sectors like real estate or telecom where growth is slower, but the cash flow is pretty steady. The trade-off is that these higher yields often come with higher risk. For example, if interest rates rise or their business profits fall, they might have to reduce those dividend payments. So they can boost your income faster, but you don't want to rely too heavily on them. And last, there are growth stocks that also pay small dividends like Apple, Microsoft, or Visa. These have smaller dividend yields, but strong long-term growth potential if you ever wanted to sell them in the future. When looking at growth stocks, beginners should pay attention to a few important measurements and the typical numbers that make them healthy. These include the PE ratio, the PB ratio, revenue growth, debt levels, cash flow, profit margins, and return on equity, or ROE. Here's what each of those means explained simply for beginners. The PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, is one of the most common metrics people check. For most established companies, a healthy PE ratio usually falls between 10 and 25. If it's above 30, it might mean the stock is expensive unless the company's growth is very strong. If it's below 10, that might mean the company isn't growing much. The PB ratio, price to book ratio, compares the stock price to the value of what the company actually owns, so things like physical buildings around the world, equipment, or cash. A PB ratio around 1 to 3 is generally a good sign for beginners because it shows the stock isn't overpriced compared to its real assets. Revenue growth is how fast a company's sales are increasing. For large companies, steady growth around 5 to 10% per year is healthy, while smaller growth companies might grow 10 to 20% per year. Debt levels show how much the company owes compared to how much it owns. A debt to equity ratio below 1 is generally a good target because it means the company isn't relying too heavily on borrowed money to run the business. Cash flow is the money the company actually has left after paying expenses. For this, you want to see positive free cash flow, meaning it's bringing in more money than it's spending. Profit margin shows how much the company keeps from each dollar of sales. In general, 10% or higher is a strong margin, but this can depend on the industry. Finally, return on equity shows how well the company uses its investors' money to make more money. A healthy ROE usually is between 10 to 20%. That means management is using resources effectively. Here's an example that makes this clear. Let's take Apple and Verizon. Apple's PE ratio is usually higher, often above 25, because investors expect it to keep growing its earnings for years to come through new products and technology. Verizon, on the other hand, has a much lower PE ratio, closer to 9 or 10%, because it's a mature company that grows more slowly but pays a larger dividend. The same idea applies to the PB ratio, so Apple trades at a much higher multiple of its book value because it has a strong brand and future growth potential, while Verizon trades closer to the value of its physical assets like cell towers around the world. This comparison helps you see how investors price growth potential versus stability. Okay, so to recap, you've got the blue chip dividend stocks, the dividend growers, the high yield dividend stocks, and the growth stocks. Mixing all 4 of these types of stocks will give you a balanced approach to stable income, growth, and a bit of risk. Many people keep about 50% of their portfolio in stable blue chip dividend stocks, about 30% in dividend growth companies, and no more than 20% in high yield dividend stocks. Moving on to step 2, you should stack your payout months. Most companies pay out dividends quarterly, but others pay on different months. So if you plan it right, you can mix different stocks and funds so that their payment schedules fill in every month of the calendar year. For example, you could hold companies like Coca-Cola that pay April, July, October, and December, Johnson & Johnson that pays March, June, September, and December, and Realty Income that pays every single month. By combining payment cycles like that, you could have dividends showing up nearly every few weeks. Otherwise, what's the point of dividend investing if you're only making $5,000 per month for 4 months out of the year? Now let's look at how to make $5,000 per month, which is step 3. To earn $5,000 per month or $60,000 a year, you can invest at a 5% yield, where you would need about $1.2 million invested. At a 3% dividend yield, you'd need about $2 million invested. That sounds big, but let's take a look at smaller milestones that you can set, assuming a 7% average total return on your stocks and a 3% income yield. If you invest $25 a week, which is about $122,800 after 30 years, that means you'd be making around $300 a month in dividends. If you invest $100 a week, which is about $491,000 after the same amount of time, you'd be making $1,228 a month. $200 a week would be a little under $1 million in 30 years, which would pay you $2,456 a month, and $300 to $400 a week is about $1.5 to $2 million in 30 years, which pays $4,000 to $5,000 each month. You can reach that kind of yield by mixing reliable blue chip companies like Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson that pay around 2.5% with dividend ETFs such as SCHD or VYM, that average around 3%. Adding a small portion of higher yield stocks like Realty Income or Verizon can push your overall yield closer to 3% without taking on too much extra risk. Here's where things get interesting. Many investors use this thing called the 4% rule, which means if your investments earn around 7% in total returns each year, you can withdraw around 3 to 4% annually and keep your portfolio growing after inflation. It keeps growing because the average 7% return is higher than what you're taking out, and it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, so if you start off with a few down years in the market, you should still be fine. So if you're withdrawing 4% and the market's earning 7%, the leftover 3% continues compounding inside your portfolio. That extra growth helps your investments stay ahead of inflation and keeps your income stable for a long time. For example, $60,000 per year or $5,000 per month is right around 3% of a $2 million portfolio, which means your total investments earn about 7% per year. You could sell $60,000 worth of stocks annually and still have about 4% of your portfolio growing after inflation, and your money would still keep compounding. The good thing is, dividends will cover part of it naturally, and any remaining amount can come from growth gains that you sell, but you will have to pay taxes on it. So I would stick to the dividends. The thing is, 30 years from now, $5,000 won't be worth as much as it is today. But if many of your holdings raise dividends regularly and you reinvest everything back in, your payouts can grow faster than inflation, helping your monthly passive income over time without even adding any new money in. Those numbers sound big, but the key here is to start small and reinvest everything. Trust me, it grows a lot faster than you think. And here's how to make that snowball roll even faster. Increase your weekly investment amount whenever your income goes up. Let's say you get a raise and now you can invest just $5 more each week, making it $30 total. That means you'd be investing $1,560 per year instead of $1,300. If your portfolio earns an average 7% over 30 years and you reinvest all the dividends, that grows to around $147,359 instead of $122,800. At a 3% dividend yield, that's now earning $368 a month instead of $300 a month, which is about $60 more in passive income by year 30. Keep in mind that was just $5 of an increase every week, which matters in the long term. The snowball gets bigger and bigger when raises, bonuses, and side income are added to your weekly contribution. Now, I want to say again that you should be careful with the high yield dividend stocks because they are riskier. Me personally, I'd rather earn a steady 4% from reliable companies that never miss a payment than chase a 10% yield that gets cut next quarter. Slow and steady really wins the game of dividend investing. That's another thing to be careful of with dividends because they aren't magic. Companies can cut them completely during tough times, which is why diversifying your stock portfolio really matters. People usually spread their portfolio across different sectors like customer goods, technology, and real estate, to name a few. That way, if one sector of the economy goes down, you aren't totally screwed. The truth is, dividend investing requires patience. The longer you hold the reinvestment, the more your money works for you instead of the other way around. If you want to see exactly what I'm investing in, check out my portfolio on Blossom that I'll link down below. You can follow my trades and see what I hold and get ideas for your own dividend investing setup. And if you're looking to start your own dividend journey, Webull is the platform that I would recommend. Right now, they're giving a 3 to 4% transfer bonus. So if you deposit $10,000, that's $300 to $400 back. And I just want to say that building a portfolio that pays $5,000 a month isn't a get rich plan, but it's a get free slowly plan. Every dollar you invest, every reinvested dividend, every week that you stay consistent, that's one step toward financial freedom. So start small, don't stop investing, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something valuable. Again, I'll leave the links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.